Can I put a little asterisk there and tell you, if I'm bad on the first take, I'm awful on a replay. So like, this is as good as this gets. It doesn't get any better. I assure you of that. All right.
Great. Okay, guys, I am super excited. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've been, shooting the breeze long enough. I can't handle much more, Chad, just talking normally. So we're going to get started, and I'm actually really, on a serious note, really, really excited to have Chad back. So if you guys were with us in Nashville, Tennessee last year for season 1 of Home Builder Tech, which that was back when we traveled and saw people and gave them hugs and shook people's hands. Now we are in a scenario where we're always pants optional. Nice. And this is the only conference in America where pants are optional. So, yeah.
Love it. Love that.
Just don't move the camera down. That's all I got to say. But no, over the past year and a half, Chad has become one of my good friends, and he did an amazing job in Nashville last year. And a really quick story, there was you had these moments about people you interact with, and so I had met Chad. I hadn't really known him that well, but there was something about Chad that I was just like, there's something there. And so we decided we were going to put on Home Builder Tech last year in Nashville, and we wanted a second keynote. I had never heard Chad give a speech before. I've never heard him deliver a talk, ever. But I had one of those moments where I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask Chad to deliver a keynote. I've never heard him talk before. And I suckered him into coming to Nashville. And he got on stage and gave an amazing, hour and 20-minute talk. And he absolutely nailed it. Angela said he nailed it. And it was one of the best decisions I've made. And he did an unbelievable job. And he agreed to come back this year and talk to everybody, this time on camera. And he's got his button-up shirt on top, and he's got swimming trunks on underneath because he just got out of the hot tub that he bought yesterday. And but he's going to talk about mission critical, how to control the controllables. So Chad Sanchagrin, CEO, founder of Cannonball Moments, host of the Cannonball Mindset podcast with I don't know how many famous guests on. I'm not on there, so I'm not. I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, Chad, the floor is yours, my good friend.
All right, cool. Listen, a couple things about that intro, which I really appreciate. One, you have to be out of your mind to hire any speaker without having ever heard them speak, and let alone be me. Like, I thought maybe you had gone to again, I thought you found me on Groupon, or you're just looking for somebody. You needed a low-budget speaker, and you asked me. So I don't know, what the hell you were thinking. It was not a smart move on your part. And the second thing is, I did just get a hot tub. But let me tell you this. I can only tell you this story because my wife will never see this webinar, this conference, right? My wife, 4 years ago, for her Father's Day, gave me a hot tub, right? This is what hers and the girls, I talked my whole life about wanting a hot tub. So she said, she gives me an envelope with a paper in it that says, "We are buying you a hot tub," right? It got delivered this Father's Day 3 weeks ago, like a week ago, all right? So it wasn't like this was like this spur of the moment purchase. It took me 4 years to actually receive my gift of her following through. So yes, I have a hot tub now, but here's the thing. It's 127 degrees outside. So I'm not the smartest guy in the world. All right, listen, thanks for having me back. I really appreciate it. One of the things that I know to be true is that the biggest contributor of our success is where we spend our time. And I want to make sure that, that I deliver value for you today. And, you've had these amazing speakers. You have this amazing conference for the last 2 days. And I want to make sure that you get something really, really valuable out of it. And so I'm going to share some stories and some ideas of what I believe to be the biggest contributor to success. And I'm not just talking success in in your work life, but in your personal life as well. And I'm going to tell it in a kind of a story form. I'm going to take you through this presentation. And I'd encourage you to take notes, only because, Matt, you should take notes, because there's a very small possibility that at some point during the next 45 minutes, I'll say something good, and I want somebody to have written it down. All right, so don't guarantee it, but we should take notes just because of that. You with me, Matt?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So here we go. So the greatest contributor to our success in life, regardless of circumstance, is how we choose to spend our time every day. This was really, really evident 100 days ago today. 100 days ago today, Matt, is when the state of Maryland, which I live in, went on lockdown. And so I remember that, it was leading up to it, and you knew that this was starting to happen. You saw other states starting to go on lockdown. And we went on lockdown, and I'm a business owner. Like, I'm a small business owner, or a growing business owner, right? I have clients that are in all different verticals, mostly home building. And I was afraid. I wasn't afraid that I was going to catch the coronavirus. I wasn't afraid I was going to get sick. I wasn't afraid to spend time with my family. I was afraid that I was going to lose clients. And it doesn't take much for a small business to be put out of business. If I have 15 full-time builder clients I meet with every week, it takes 15 phone calls for me to be out of business. Probably less than that. Probably 10. 10 calls, and I can't withstand. My business won't operate anymore. And I'm an enthusiastic optimist, and which means I always believe that things are going to get better. That there's the glass is always half. I had given in to this. I was really, really afraid of what was going to happen. So I started creating stories up in my head. And I'd say to my wife that, I'm going to lose the business. And if I lose the business, then we're not going to be able to afford our house. And it literally created this catastrophe in my head. I had catastrophe thinking. And so what happened was I started realizing that I needed to control the controllables. And I was sitting in my office, and I had a horrible day because of the stories I had created. And I was trying to figure out how I could make it through this. I couldn't find the answer. Well, luckily, I am married to probably one of the most amazing women in the history of the world, and a great, great friend and supporter of mine. So we went for a walk that night. It was our first night of family walks. And this is the first day of lockdown, first or second day of lockdown. And we were walking, and I said, I don't know what to do. She said, Chad, I've never seen you this stressed out in the 20 years we've been married. And she said, you got to realize you can't pour from a cup you don't have, that's not full. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you're trying to give certainty to all your customers. You're trying to give certainty to your clients, but you can't do that if you're not feeling secure and certain yourself. And said, so you got to figure it out. And I said, all right, I'm just going to double down. I'm just going to contribute, and I'm going to go all in. And I did that. And I went in the next couple of days. I started pouring into people as much as I could. And at the end of the day, I felt so drained and so busy that it actually caused me to feel drained. It wasn't really helping. So I got to pivot here. And this is what I realized. I realized a couple things. That I was spending my time in always, and I think this is true with anybody. We spend our time doing in one of three areas all the time. We're in one of these three categories. Either we spend our time doing irrelevant things, right? Irrelevant things for Matt is like watching panda videos on YouTube, right? Matt's a big panda guy. So
hey.
Right? Is it pandas, Matt?
Yeah, totally pandas.
Right? So you spend your time watching panda videos on YouTube, browsing social media, playing video games, anything that doesn't add value to what your mission is, the mission you're on. And so we spend time doing irrelevant things. I spent time doing irrelevant or important things. Important things were things like exercising, things like paying bills or managing backlog, managing my clients. I'm going to shift a little bit to sales, but it'd be in the sales role, it'd be somebody that's managing their backlog. Doing paperwork, all that stuff's really important. So we spend a lot of time doing important things. The last area that we spend time are times doing mission critical things. And these are mission critical things are things that are going to ensure that I have the highest probability of success over a long period of time. if I do these things every day, if I contribute in these areas every day, if I spend time doing these things every day, I'm going to increase my probability of success. So in sales, I was working with my sales teams, and I said, all right, we're going to create mission criticals. Here are the mission criticals for sales. It's connect with more partners, like more real estate agents, more lenders, more whatever. It's advanced key deals. These are people that are in my prospect bucket, right? So from the time they came in, but they haven't written a contract yet. So work every day to move them forward. Retain our current customer base. I can't afford to lose any customers. So these are people that are already under contract but haven't closed yet. And then establish more prospects. I got to bring more prospects in. These are mission critical. In my personal life, mission criticals are, ensure that I can fulfill my mission of being a kick-ass 100-year-old. That's my life mission, be a kick-ass 100-year-old. So contributing to health. Ensure that I have a 75 to 85-year-long marriage, which would put me at the age of 120, by the way. But making sure I have a marriage that lasts the length of my life. Making sure that I'm there for my kids. So I have these mission criticals in my personal life as well. And here's the thing, Matt. Once I realized, I sat down, and here's what happened. I was in my office, and I grabbed my my Post-it notes, and I started writing down in the Post-it notes all the things that I was feeling anxious about, that I was feeling concerned about. And I said, all right, so I could lose my company. I could all the stories in my head, all the catastrophizing in my head, I put on paper, on individual Post-it notes. And I threw them up on my whiteboard. My wall is a whiteboard. And so I separated them. I separated on things I can control and things I can't control. And it is amazing. 90% of the stuff on there was things I can't control. 10% were the things I can control. I took all the 90%, the things that I can't control, I walled them up, I threw that shit in the trash, and I left the 10%. And here's what I realized, Matt. You ever feel, Matt, like when you're done, like you ever get to the feeling how sometimes you feel like you just had enough, you can't take anymore, you're just done? Like mentally, emotionally, this has been a taxing time for all of us, but you ever feel like you just don't have anything left?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and this is what I realized. And this is one of those key moments that for me, I had to write down. I have it it's literally written on my whiteboard. When you feel like you've had enough, it's because you don't believe you are enough. Let me explain what I mean by that. We get so busy, and we're going, we're trying to achieve, and I feel like I just can't take anymore. I have nothing left to give. It's because psychologically, I don't believe I'm enough to handle everything that's going on. And that's how I was feeling. I was feeling before this that I wasn't enough. Maybe everything I'd done, everything I'd worked for over the last 4 years was going to be ripped away from me. And I just wasn't strong enough, good enough, able enough, qualified enough to be able to do it. And what do you think, Matt, happened? Has that ever happened to you, Matt, when you feel like you just can't, there's nothing left to give?
Yeah, it's a horrible feeling too.
Oh, it's debilitating. It was debilitating. And again, I am this male version of Mary Poppins that says shit a lot. But like I'm like a pretty happy-go-lucky guy and a positive guy. But I was like not literally, figuratively crawled up in the fetal position because I couldn't take anymore. And I had just given up on myself. So I created these mission criticals. And this is what I realized, Matt. So if I could focus on proactive mission critical behaviors, these are things that I'm going to do every day, regardless of the outcome. I'm going to divorce the outcome. I'm going to marry the behaviors. Let me say that again. I'm going to divorce the outcomes and I'm going to marry the behaviors. The things I must do every day. If all I do is do the things that I know that are going to give me the greatest probability of success over a long period of time, I don't need to worry about the outcome, right? I just need to take proactive mission critical behaviors. The problem is most of us live in a reactive lifestyle. We react to the circumstances, the things we can't control, and then at the end of the day, we feel drained, right? So I said, all right, the hell with this. I'm not doing this anymore. This was literally 100 days ago, Matt. 100 days ago, this all started. So I said, all right, what are my proactive mission critical behaviors? Proactive mission critical behaviors are behaviors and actions that we must take every single day in one form or another, regardless of the circumstance. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is. It doesn't matter if there's corona, if there's protests, if there's riots, if there's, it doesn't matter. If there's a bad economy, good economy, if there's high interest rate, low interest rate, it doesn't matter. As a role as a sales professional, I need to do these behaviors every day. If I do them and I am proactive about it, it's going to give me the greatest probability of success, right? So that's what mission critical behaviors are. And I need to figure out how to get, right? How to get them, right? Well, here's what's crazy. So I figured out what my proactive mission critical behaviors are for my company. And they were. These were my proactive, when it comes to my company, I shared them earlier, but these were my mission critical behaviors. I needed to connect with more partners every day. What did this mean? I needed to connect with amazing people like Group 2, like Lasso, like, Dave Betcher, like Angela. I need to connect with more people like this every day. I need to increase my circle, my network, right? I need to increase my network. And I didn't say I got a partner, I have to get a speaking gig at Group 2 and Lasso's amazing seminar of Home Builder Tech. I didn't say that. I said I just need to foster these relationships. I need to pour into these relationships every day, every single day. And before you create a story and you said, well, you can't do that, let me explain what I mean by that. Every day, I was gonna find a way to connect with these people more. So it may just be a text to Matt Riley today saying, hey, Matt, how you doing? Hope all is well, right? I was fostering those relationships. It may be a email to somebody. It may be, I'm gonna send a handwritten card. I'll show you, hold on. I had these Morgan had these great cards made, right? Kind of on moments because self-promotion. And I handwrite those out every day or one day a week. And I say, all right, I'm going to send some cards today. I wasn't worried about what the outcome of that was. I was just going to do the behavior. So I was going to find a way to connect with more partners. I was going to find a way to retain my current customer base. I couldn't lose any of my customers over this period of time. So what did that mean? Well, I was going to do some free calls. I was going to just check in. I was going to send them some cards, whatever. I was going to take actions every day to ensure that I didn't lose any current customers. Regardless of the outcome, I was just going to take the actions. I was going to prospect more. Well, how was I going to prospect? I was going to do a webinar one day, social media the next day. I was going to prospect every single day, right? And I was going to move people that were in my pipeline. I was going to move them further down. I didn't close them. I was just going to get them one step closer to them being a client. Well, all of a sudden, here's what happened. I was taking these proactive behaviors every day, and I was feeling really productive, really, really productive. At the end of the day, I could look and say, I did boom, 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 boom. This is what I set to do, and this is what I did. And it gave me a feeling of productivity, right? It made me feel really accomplished, like I had done something worthwhile that day. And then productivity, what I realized, it led me to this energy. So at the end of the day, I wasn't drained. I felt energized. I felt like, wow, man, look, I controlled my day. I controlled the controllables. And here's the greatest key of it. When you feel productive and it leads to this energy, it also leads to a sense of pride. It led to a sense of pride that I was doing the things that I know I needed to do to be successful. I felt really good about myself. And everybody wants to feel good about myself. I no longer felt like I wasn't enough, like I couldn't handle this. I felt like I was having control of my day. Again, I wasn't focused. I had divorced myself from the outcome. I had married the behaviors, and I was dedicated to doing these behaviors every day. And I felt really a sense of pride. Well, pride is our greatest intrinsic motivator. We know what science tells us is that there's two types of motivation. Extrinsic, outside, that's carrot or stick, the old way of motivating you. I'm gonna either give you a reward or I'm gonna beat you, but I'm gonna motivate you that way. Or intrinsic, motivation that comes from within. Well, we know that intrinsic motivation is the greatest motivator. Well, pride is the greatest form of intrinsic motivation. When I feel proud about the behaviors that I'm doing, I'll do more of it. It's like when you do it, like, you go do a random act of kindness for somebody. You buy somebody's coffee behind you, or you pay for somebody's groceries, or do whatever. Well, when you do it, what's that feeling you get? You feel like, man, I want to do that again. I want more of that. Well, the reason why is because when you do something that gives you a sense of pride, it actually creates all these hormones in you that say, man, I feel really good. I want more of that feeling. So what was happening was I was taking more control of these mission criticals. It made me feel pride, which now I wasn't going to bed like frustrated and angry or upset or felt like I had no control, or even worse, like I wasn't enough, I was going to bed going, all right, I won today. I conquered today. I didn't conquer today because I got a new client. I didn't conquer today because I got a sale. I didn't conquer today because I climbed Everest. I conquered today because I set out to do these mission critical behaviors, and boom, before you know it, I did it, and gosh, I felt really good about myself, right? So pride is our greatest intrinsic motivator. When we have this motivation, that motivation leads to repeatable excellence. Sorry, repetitive excellence. Like over and over, like, okay, I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. It's why what Darren Hardy calls the big mo. We get momentum, we get this momentum, and all of a sudden we're like a runaway train. So I was like, all right, this is really good. This is really, really good. I'm gonna conquer this. Well, here's what's crazy, Matt. I started feeling so good in my business life and how we were operating and what was going on, because I was taking these mission critical behaviors and we were doing them over and over again. And I wasn't losing any clients because I was doing the right things. All these things were leading to the right results, but I didn't care. Divorce the results, marry the behaviors. I said, I wonder, Matt, if I can do this in my personal life. I wonder if the same recipe, the same mindset will work in my professional life, in my personal life. So I said, all right, I've always wanted, I've been a runner, but I always wanted to I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to, actually I have a goal that one day I'll be able to take my shirt off in the pool and not feel like what the hell are you doing, right? So I'm going to get in shape. And so I said, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do these mission criticals for my work. This is 100 days ago. I came up with the mission criticals. And here's what's crazy, Matt. You ready for this?
Let's go.
It's been 100 days. 100 days. During that last 100 days, we had a pandemic. We had obviously some riots and protests and lockdowns. There's a lot of negativity going on out there. But let me tell you what happened in my life, right? In the last 100 days. I've lost 38 pounds. I ran in those 38 days, in that 100 days, 627 miles, right? 627 miles. I've taken over 100 family walks with my wife and my 2 kids. I've eaten breakfast, lunch, and dinner with my family every day for those last 100 days. Now, I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon you that it's because I was taking control of my own life. All too often, we allow other circumstances, other things to control our life, and we come up with these stories of why that has to happen. And now, what's crazy is you're not even the lead actor in your own movie. You are allowing somebody else to direct your life, which is insane to me. So I was like, all right, I'm definitely on to something here. So we came up with this. I came up with the theory. Morgan does all the work. Again, Morgan's our director of operations. She's the brains. And so this is how it goes, right? So mission critical behaviors lead to a sense of productivity. So I figure out what my mission criticals are, and then I divorce the results, marry the behaviors. I say that over and over again because I really want you to become behavior mindset rather than results mindset. I do those mission critical behaviors every day without fail. Every day. I do the same things every day. Like not the same how-tos, but the same mission critical areas. And I'll explain what that means in a minute. But mission critical leads to productivity. Productivity gives me a sense of pride. When I feel pride, it gives me energy. It gives me the right energy, and I can have repeatable excellence over and over again. And if I do the right behaviors enough times, I'm going to get the right results. I'm going to get the right results. But let's look at the other side, Matt, okay? Let's look at reactive behaviors. Let's look at how most people live their life right now. Reactive behaviors and actions, and this was me. This was how I was living my life. Behaviors and actions that are not pre-planned and are reacting to the circumstances of the environment around you, right? So I react to my kids, I react to my employees, I react to my clients. I'm constantly reacting. I sold 30 homes, now I have 30 people in backlog, and I'm constantly, I can't keep up with them, and then people are coming in, I can't keep up with that. And here's the thing, reactive behaviors, Matt, cause us to feel busy. Like I'm so busy, I can't even begin to tell you how busy I am, right? Busy makes us feel overwhelmed and drained. When you go at the end of the day and you did not control your controllables. You do not get to dictate your day. You feel busy. And most of the time, at the end of the day, when you feel busy, you feel overwhelmed and drained. That feeling of drained gives us anxiety and literally causes us to feel shame. Like, I feel anxiety because I can't keep up. And if I can't keep up, then there must be something wrong with me. And if there's something wrong with me, then I'm certainly not enough. And if I'm not enough, I just want to throw the white towel. I just want to surrender. I just can't do it anymore. And this is where I was living my life. I felt like I was really busy. I felt like I was working hard, but it wasn't, but it was causing me more. The harder I worked, the more anxiety I felt because I just couldn't keep up. And when we feel shame, shame leaves a life of mediocrity and less than. And, you know, I don't preach my religion or my faith to anybody. I don't hide from it. But I will tell you, I don't believe that you were created for a life of mediocrity or a life of less than. And I said that last year to build anxiety. I believe it's to the very core of who I am, that you were created for a life of abundance. But you weren't given abundance. You weren't given success. You were given all the tools within you already to have success, to have abundance. We just got to figure out how to do it, right? So look at this chart, Matt. So reactive behaviors cause you to feel busy. Busy causes you to feel overwhelmed and drained. Drained causes you to feel shame. Shame leads to a life of mediocrity. And then you get in this cycle where I'm just trying to keep up. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. Have you ever felt that way, Matt, where you feel like you're just trying to keep your head above water?
Yeah, oh, yeah. And you just, no matter what you do, you just can't get ahead.
Just can't get ahead, right? And eventually, at some point, we internalize it. We say, well, I'm working so hard and I just can't get ahead. Gosh, there's got to be something wrong with me. I got to be broken. I got to be less than. Man, if I could just get ahead. Well, it's because we are so busy reacting to the environment and the circumstances around us that we weren't able to do the things we know we need to do to be successful. So for me, even like I can tell you, for the longest time, I would react to the circumstances in my personal life, right? It was what my kids, I have 16-year-old daughters, 15 going 16-year-old twin daughters. And it's all about them. It's all about them, right? And I was reacting to everything to try to be the greatest dad, to try to be the best dad, to try to be the best dad. And I was so busy trying to be the best dad that I wasn't taking any mission critical behaviors to actually become the best dad I can be. I was just trying to keep up, but I didn't have time set aside in my schedule to read books on being a better father. I didn't have times on my schedule to proactively spend time with my children. It was always in a reactionary state. And then all of a sudden that was just one part. Then I needed my clients, and then I needed, time with my wife, and then I need time with my family. Oh, I want to exercise too. And then I wasn't great at anything. I have the ability to be great, but I wasn't great at anything. So I came up with this idea of mission criticals, and I followed it for the last 100 days, almost to a T, right? And I want to show you now how to do this. All right, you with me, Matt?
I'm here.
What do you think so far? You with me? I'm saying.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, all right, perfect. So the first thing we have to understand is know what our purpose is, understand your mission, identify the behaviors. Let me explain this. So if you're a sales professional on this call, right? What is your purpose? And I'm not looking for some holier than thou Hallmark greeting card here, right? What's your purpose? So I'm going to take you through this, Matt. Matt, you're going to be my guinea pig. How about this? This is unplanned, unexpected, but you're going to be my guinea pig, all right?
Let's go.
Okay. So if I say you're the vice president, am I getting your title right? Vice president?
Yeah.
Group 2, right?
That's right.
Vice president, Group 2, baddest company around. All right, here we go. All right, so you're the president of Group 2. What is your role? What is your purpose as the vice president of Group 2?
Everything that happens or fails to happen.
Say that again. Everything that happens or fails.
Everything that happens or fails to happen.
What does that mean? Tell me more.
That means that I'm responsible for whatever does happen, whether it goes right or wrong, or whatever doesn't happen. So all the good and the bad.
Okay. Again, that's a great answer if you're running for office, right? It's fantastic. It's perfect. Like, it's a perfect politician answer. But I'm talking even deeper. Like, what is your mission? What is something that, regardless of what the circumstance, you have to ensure what over the next year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever? What do you have to ensure? What are you there for?
Well, it's a couple things. I think it's continual growth and improvement of our team first and foremost.
Okay.
Because our team has to come first. We have
Yep.
to start there because it's the trickle down.
Okay.
Right? That,
you say that's the most important, the growth
yeah,
of your
that's absolutely the most important.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. So why is that important?
Because if they're taken care of, if they feel confident, if they feel that they have the tools they need to succeed, then everything else from there is an ancillary effect.
Perfect. All right, give me another one. Growth of your team. Give me another one.
Growth of our team, it's going to be the growth of our partners, our clients.
Why is that important?
Well, for the obvious reasons, if they're having success, we have success, right?
Perfect.
And that's what our job is to help builders reach their full potential.
Yep, perfect. All right, give me one more. Growth of employees, growth of clients. Give me one more.
Growth of new business, right?
Yeah, growth of new business. All right, new business. All right, perfect. All right, so now we have 3 mission criticals when it comes to, and I think you should have 5. I think you should come up with 5. We're going to use 3 right now. Okay. So we understand what our mission is, right? Now this doesn't change, Matt. As long as you are the vice president of Group 2, this is going to be your mission regardless.
That's right.
Like, doesn't matter. Would you agree?
Yep.
Yeah. So if I'm a salesperson, my mission is to ensure that I'll make one up, right? To ensure ensure that my clients get proper shelter, right? Ensure that I provide shelter for human beings. It's to contribute to the betterment of my bank account. I don't care, make money, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. But you come up with the what's. What is your mission? It will never change. As long as I am the owner of Cannonball Moments, my mission is to ensure the long-term financial success of this company, right? That's one of my missions. That is never going to change. I don't care if we're making $70 million or making $7,000, that mission stays the same. Now, if I change roles, it may change, but this is my mission. So what's your mission? Now I'd say, all right, identify the actions, and that's harder than what it seems, figuring out what your mission is. It is not easy, okay? Right. You have to do real soul searching, and you have to go deep. Identify the actions that are mission critical and continue moving forward. So I'd say, all right, Matt, you said growth of team. Tell me how you do this. Give me one way of how you ensure the growth of your team.
There's a couple ways, right? You've got growth of knowledge of what's happening in the industry, and then growth as a human, making sure that people are getting what they need to feel fulfilled, that they're continually getting better at what they do.
All right, so you need to give them more knowledge. What else? What was the other one?
More knowledge for our clients, and then personal growth for themselves.
Personal growth. Okay, give me another one.
Oh, geez.
One more. How do you grow your people?
More autonomy and responsibility.
Okay, perfect. So now you'd say, all right, so I have this mission critical.
Yep.
Right, which is long-term growth of my clients. My employees, I'm sorry. And how am I going to do that? Well, I have to deliver knowledge of material, knowledge of customers. I have to give them autonomy. I have to teach them about autonomy, whatever, right? Well, now I know what I have to do. Now I'm literally just going to create the strategy around it. So what that means is I'm going to figure out how much time do I have every day to spend on mission critical, right? So on a given day, I know Molly might be listening to this, so you can fudge the answer a little bit. What time do you like to start work in the morning?
I start work at about 7:30.
All right, 7:30. That means 10 a.m. in real time. No, I'm just joking, right? All right. So 7. I'm never getting asked back. That's for damn sure. All right. So we start at 7:30. What time do you want to finish? What time, ideally, would you be able to shut down your computer and be done work for the day?
5:30.
5:30. All right. So that's 10 hours. A 10-hour day, right? Of that 10-hour day, how much time percentage-wise should we spend doing mission-critical work, do you think? And this is not a trick question. You have 10 hours a day. How much time should we do mission-critical?
I would say a third.
Yeah, max.
Yeah.
So here's what happened. People say, well, I'm going to spend all day doing, well, you can't, because you still have important work to do. You still have the paperwork. You still have uncontrollables. You still have things coming in your day.
Yep.
So don't set some like holy grail goal that you're going to spend all this time doing mission critical, because what's going to happen is you can't keep up. And then you fall right back into the busy, drained, unproductive, I'm not enough kind of mindset.
Yep.
We say, all right, I spend a third, right? And if I could do math in my head, I'd be able to say that's about 3 hours and 20 minutes, right?
Yep.
But let's, for easy math, let's say 3 hours. So I have 3 hours a day to do mission critical work. 3 hours, right? So I have now set up all my mission critical behaviors. I know, like we didn't go through the whole exercise, but you know the growth of your team, correct? The growth of my team is important, and I need to spread knowledge. I need to knowledge them on industry standards. I need to give them personal growth, whatever. Now, every day, Matt, I'm going to allocate a certain amount of time, 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day, whatever, I'm making this time up, 30 minutes a day to educate my staff on something, right?
Yep.
I'm going to spend 30 minutes a day trying to ensure long-term success. So what was happening was I was looking at my calendar, and this went on my calendar before anything else. The mission criticals went on the calendar, and everything else moved around it. So I knew I only had to spend 3 hours a day doing mission critical, but if I did it every day, it was going to get to this long-term growth. So think about it. If you spent, let's say 30 minutes, right? So you allocated 30 minutes a day to give knowledge to your employees, right? Now you do that in a couple forms. You could have them watch a TED Talk. You could do a talk yourself. You could have them read a book and get back to you. You could have them do an assignment. Like there's a million different ways. When I say it's prospect with clients, I don't pick up the phone and cold call people every day. I connect with them on LinkedIn. Good, I checked the box. I did this. Yep. So at the end of the day, let's say you had 5 mission critical behaviors that you had every day that totaled 3.5 hours. Yep. At the end of the week, you would have had, 15 opportunities to check that box off, right? So every day, 5 things, 15, yep. 5 days a week, 15 things.
Yep.
That 30 minutes you spent doing mission critical growth of my employees, what would happen if you spent a dedicated 30 minutes with your employees every day, right? Every day. I'm making this times up.
Yep.
Every day. That'd be 2.5 hours a week, correct?
Yep.
That would be 10 hours a week, 10 hours a month. That would be 120 hours a year. Do you think that if you spent that time doing it, you would yield the right results?
Without question.
No question. But what's crazy about it is we don't do that, right? We're so busy being busy that we don't focus in on what's most important. So what I was realizing was I was on to something. So I created this in my business life, and I created it in my personal life. And what I did was I now have dedicated time. Every morning, for the last 100 days, I have literally made breakfast for my wife and kids. We have had breakfast here. Now that for some people may not be a big thing. For me, it is huge. It's enormous. Because I've been married for 20 years. I've had my daughters for almost 16 years. And I can tell you, I don't remember a span of 3 days in a row that we had breakfast and lunch together. Yeah. My relationship with my wife has gotten stronger. My relationship with my kids has gotten stronger. And it's not by circumstance, it's by design.
Yeah.
I'm finally living my life, the life that I was created to have by design. And so often what we're doing is we're trying to live our life by circumstance, by everything that's being thrown at us. And we just can't do that. We're not wired that way, because eventually we'll feel like a failure. We'll feel like I can't keep up. And then we look in the mirror, and that voice in our head, the critic in our head, will start expanding on that stories. Well, if I'm not enough to keep my business up, then what kind of man does that make me? And if that makes me less of a man, I can't be that husband to my wife or my father to my kids. And it just spirals out of control. So we have to find a way to live our life by being selfish a little bit, putting our mission criticals first. Mission criticals go first every day. So if you want your salespeople to have, if you are a salesperson, you want unbelievable long-term growth, long-term success, follow the path of the bamboo. You know what the path of the bamboo is, Matt?
No.
So Chinese bamboo, the Chinese bamboo plant is really interesting. So if you plant the seeds of a bamboo plant, I'm sure people have heard this, but I'll reiterate it. If you plant the seeds to a bamboo plant, if you plant them today and you water them and water them, you take care of them, you nourish them, you won't see anything for 4 to 5 years. Nothing comes above the ground for 4 to 5 years. But then once it breaks the seal of the ground, it grows 90 feet in 6 weeks.
Wow.
So nothing. So what happens is, if I just do the mission criticals, I know these are the right behaviors, right? I know I'm doing the right things. I know that if I prospect every day, if I'm a salesperson, I prospect every day, regardless of the circumstance, regardless if I sold 100 houses or I sold 2 houses. If I connect with more partners, more real estate agents, more mortgage lenders, more whatever, I'm just going to lead to success. I know that if I retain my current customer base, if I do something every single day to retain that current customer base, people that haven't bought yet, right? Or even people that have bought that I need to get referrals from, right? Every day I'm gonna take actions. It may be just an email, it may be a text, it may be a photo, and not every person every day. This is 30 minutes. I have 30 minutes. You're not gonna get to every employee every day to spend 30 minutes with them, Matt. But if I spend 30 minutes with an employee today, great. If I mission criticals, right? I can check it off the box. If you do this every day, what's the chances you don't have long-term success, Matt?
Slim to none.
None. There's no way that you don't have a higher level of success, and you feel more accomplished. You feel pride. And I think that's, I'm a pretty emotional type guy, and I get that, right? But I'll tell you this, there has never been a time, and I said it last year, and it's even gotten better this year, that I have not fallen in love with the person I see in the mirror more than I am right now. And I don't mean that physically. Obviously, I'm an old bald guy. But what I mean by that is the person that I'm becoming. I'm the lightest I've ever been. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. My business is going great, amazing. I have an amazing relationship with my kids. I have an amazing relationship with my wife, better than I've ever had in 20 years. And so all of it is because this pandemic caused me. This was the tipping point. This was the shift. I talked about shift last year, see how I find truth. This was a see how I find truth moment about who I was going to become when all of this happened. I was either going to fold, and that story of I'm not enough was going to come back to me, or I was going to take control of my life. And once I did that, I'm telling you, everything in my life changed. So I'll leave you with this. One, everything, I say this to all my clients every week, everything you have to do great is already within you. You just have to do the work. The work has to be mission critical. If you ever feel like you can't take any more, it's because unconsciously you don't believe you're equipped to handle it. And I assure you, as sure as I'm breathing, you are. And with that, Matt, on time too, by the way, I just want to let you know that. Boom.
Bam.
What questions? Does anybody have any questions? I don't know if do we have a question box? And then what's your thoughts, Matt?
No, that was amazing. I think that, using the analogy of the bamboo is really impactful, right? And I think that's when you're investing time in yourself, investing time in your relationships, investing time in the people that you work with, it takes time for things to start taking root before you start to see that impact. And that's and the most important and the most impactful things that we can do take that time. And I think that the time frame, would you say it was 5 to 6 years of the bamboo before it pops through the seal of the soil, and then in 6 weeks it grows 90 feet. Yeah, and I can apply that analogy across so many different things, right? Like when we go, even from a work perspective, right? When we hire someone brand new, a lot of times when we hire somebody onto our team, things get harder before they get better. because it takes you more of your time to onboard this new team member, to make sure that they have the tools that they need to succeed.
Yeah.
But it takes more effort. Your job for a period of time is going to become more difficult than what it is normally. But at the end of the day, your job becomes easier because now you've broken through the soil and now it's going to start growing. And the same thing here with yourself, right? I mean, when you're starting to work on yourself and you want to lose weight or you want to get in better shape, it's hard at first.
It's really hard. It's really hard. And here's the thing, Matt. You know, we are so outcome based. We live our lives so based on the outcome. And I know I've said it 47 times, but the reason I say this is because, I mean, you're not a sum of your outcomes. Like the outcome is so irrelevant. The outcome is only a product of the behaviors you've taken, right? So if I do the right behaviors every single day, I know it's going to lead, like I'm only as good as my outcome. I set out, so here's what's crazy, man. You know this story. So on May 1st, I had a client in Kentucky, and he was supposed to run his first half marathon. And he said, the half marathon got canceled. I said, hey, well, you're in Kentucky. I'm here in Maryland. I said, let's run a virtual half marathon together. We'll wake up early in the morning. I'll call you. You call me. We'll go out and run. And then we'll talk at like the 7-mile mark. And then we'll talk at the 13 when we're done, right? He was much faster than I am. So we went out and we ran a half marathon, right? The second day I got up and I was like, I felt good. I ran 5 or 6 miles. The third day, 5 or 6 miles. The fourth day, 5 or 6 miles. The fifth day, 5 or 6 miles. On the fifth day, I said, you know what? I've always wanted to do this challenge called the Calendar Club Challenge. And the Calendar Club Challenge is whatever the day of the month is, Matt, you run that in miles, right? So
before you tell this story, you've got to tell the other piece. We were, and Angela was a part of this too. We were already doing the 75-day hard.
Yeah, that was his fault.
You, sir, are crazy. Yeah. The 75-day hard was 2 45-minute workouts a day.
Yep.
Right? One of them had to be outside. And when we signed up for this was pre-pandemic.
Yep.
You had to follow a diet.
Right.
10 pages a day in a book.
Yep.
I'm missing one.
No alcohol.
No alcohol and a gallon of water a day.
Yeah, so we were in the middle of that. That's right.
We were in the middle of that, and then this crazy SOB decides that you're going to jump into the calendar club.
Yeah, so that's it.
Go ahead.
So yes, we were doing the 75 hard, and we have the private group. So anybody wants to do 75 hard, make sure you connect with me on Facebook because we're getting ready to do it again. But the idea is you run the calendar club, you run the days of the month, right? So first day you run 1 mile, 2 miles. So I was already at the 5th day, and I had already done a lot more than that. But I was like, I didn't tell anybody. I'm just going to do this calendar club. So the 6th day came, I ran 6 miles. The 7th day I ran 7 miles. 3rd day 8 miles. Then on and on, right? Well, about the 15th day, I was now running a half marathon every day, 13 miles and 14 miles and 15 miles. I put it on Facebook. I was like, I'm doing this I think you might even text me like, are you doing the Calendar Club Challenge? Like, what are you doing? Why are you running all these miles? So on the 16th, I ran 16 miles. On the 17th, I ran 17 miles. 18th, 18 miles, so on and so on. Well, I got to the 22nd day.
Yep.
And I was running with a buddy of mine. I had to run 22 miles that day. And I was at like 18 miles. I felt really good. And I was like, I'm just going to run, instead of running 22, I'm just going to run 26. I'm going to run a full marathon. So I ran 26 miles. The next day, the 23rd, I ran 23. And I was like, I feel really good. I'm going to run a marathon. So I ran a marathon. The 24th, I ran a marathon. The 25th, I hurt my leg at 13 miles. It hurt like I was running a marathon. It hurt. I was like, I'll just suffer through it. And I got done. And it still was hurting. On the 26th day, I woke up and my leg was throbbing. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go out. And if it hurts, I'll stop. Well, I ended up running another marathon. So I ended up running 4 or 5 marathons in a row. I woke up the following day and I could not walk. My leg was black and blue. It was really, really painful. And my wife said, if you go run, I'm literally going to stab you. She said, I am literally going to stab you in your throat. So go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor. And it turned out I had a stress fracture in my leg, which it turned out wasn't a stress fracture, it was a stress reaction, and boot and crutches, no more running, right? No more running, but I'm in a boot. And so I had to stop running. I didn't hit my goal. And I was I took a victim role. Like I was pretty depressed. I'm pretty upset about it. But think about this. I ran 480 miles in those 25 days. I lost 30 pounds. I lost all this weight. It wasn't about the outcome. The outcome wasn't what I wanted. But the behavior, I had married the behaviors. I had fallen in love with the person I'd become because of the behaviors. Don't tie yourself solely to the outcome, because you're more than the outcome. You're the person who gets up every day, does these mission critical behaviors to be the best wife, to be the best husband, to be the best salesperson, to have long-term success. Once you realize that, you'll start to feel so much better about yourself, and you'll really believe you are enough to handle anything. Once you get that feeling, everything changes. Everything changes. You with me?
Absolutely. All right. So we have a couple questions. So Steve asks, did you already say what the mission critical items are?
Yeah. So So everybody's mission criticals are different, right? But the way you find out, for me, the mission critical items are mission critical things that are going to lead to your behaviors that if I do every day will lead to my long-term success. So for you, find out what your mission criticals are. The way you find out for the mission criticals are, say, all right, what is my long-term mission? Well, if I'm a salesperson, I'm a sales professional, it's to contribute to the betterment of others through homes, right? It's to grab the originator or the leader status in every sales process. It's whatever. If you're the president of a home building company, it's to ensure the long-term success and maybe financial health of the whatever. It's whatever it is. Most people on the very first thing are going to give me a behavior. Mission criticals is the what. The how is how am I going to do it? So the behaviors are how am I going to do it? It's like if Steve said it's the long-term financial success of the company. All right, well, how do I do that? Well, I have to make sure costs are in line. I have to make sure pricing's in line. I have to do this. Great. Now that's the how. So figure out what your what is. What is your role? What's your purpose? What is the purpose of your role? Not you personally's purpose. What is the purpose of your role?
Yep.
As a father, I'll give you mine as a father. So my purpose as a father, right, is to help shape and mold my daughters to believe they are capable of anything, right? That's my purpose as a father. That will never change. My daughters could be 35 years old and the baddest CEOs that ever walked the face, and my purpose is still the same, right? Still the same. Well, what are the behaviors I do every day? Well, I tell them I love them. I love you. Tell me why. I make them repeat back to me why they're amazing human beings. I pour into them with knowledge and radical candor. So those behaviors, right? I help them get healthy. All these things are different every day, but I know all these behaviors I do are leading me towards one mission critical.
Yep.
Does that make sense? So Steve, everybody's mission criticals are different, but your role, like, if I do these behaviors enough, will they lead me to long-term success?
Yep. All right. Couple more questions. Derek asks, do you specifically, I'm pulling his question into shorter. Do you basically use a tool to track your mission criticals? What tool do you use?
Yeah, 100%. So I literally just have a check sheet. I have for my health, I use Garmin, but for my work, I literally just have a checklist. You can create a checklist that says, all right, here's my mission criticals. And listen, I'm not unrealistic in thinking there's going to be times that that you're not going to be able to do this, right? That you're going to miss a mission critical. But at the end of the week, if I have 15 mission critical opportunities and I hit 10 or 12 of them, I feel really productive. It's when the week got away from you and all of a sudden you didn't get any mission criticals done that you'll feel poorly. You know, this is all that, and Lindsay said this is really important. This is about being very intentional with your time and understanding that the more you allow other people to control your time without you having any control, now you're living your life based on somebody else's story and somebody else's narrative. And that's where the challenge is.
Yeah,
right. Sorry.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. You got Lindsay's question there. That's awesome. She said, did you take your calendar out and plan your personal mission criticals too?
Yes.
Personal versus work.
Yes, 100%. Yep. So I have exactly what my mission criticals are, personal and professional, and I still have, listen, in that time that I had all the health and time with my family, I still grew my business. We still added 3 new customers. I still did every call. Like, so it wasn't like I devoted all my time to these mission criticals and everything else went to the wayside. I spent 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day doing mission criticals. I spent 7 hours a day doing important stuff and watching cat videos on YouTube. Or
Pandas.
Or I did not tell you all, I became TikTok famous during the quarantine. So I'm saying, like, that I did that too. All right, that's it.
Okay, all right. So I am going to bring up, Chad, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that. Let's see here. I am going to bring up
Look,
Alpha Aurora from Envision. And she is going to talk about how virtual design centers are here. How we can, what kind of awesome ideas that people can implement utilizing virtual design studios. Alpha, are you there? Oh, you're on mute. Let me see here.
All right, can you hear me, Matt?
Perfect.
Excellent. Love it when it works, right?
That's right.
All right, can you now see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, you are good to go.
Perfect, thank you. Well, I'm going to build a little bit on what Chad just shared. I have not run 480 miles in 35 days. I have gathered the fact that you have to have mission critical items, and it is about the journey and it is about the behaviors, and a lot of times not focusing on those end results. And so it's a really great segue, Chad, into really talking about the virtual design solution and how do we engage and inspire and emotionally immerse today's home shopper. So I am going to go ahead and progress my slide, making sure you can see that. It's progressing.
Good to go.
Perfect. Awesome. So even before this new normal, builders were, for the last 15 years, we've been on a quest with builders to have this virtual design studio experience. And before, it was more about being important, having this digital continuity with their buyers. It was almost a vitamin, right? It was something that we felt we needed, and it was good for us. It made us feel good. But now it's become so vital, so critical to our success as an industry. So I want to kind of set the stage to say that our consumers, our buyers, all of us are consumers and buyers. They are already there. They are digitally transformed. We as an industry now need to meet them with where they're at. And so with that, we are going to talk about the 5 best practices or the 5 key tips to think about from an online or a virtual design center process. So the first one we're going to talk about is don't wait. Your consumers, as I shared, we are all digital consumers. They expect this solution available for them, right? So today, buying a home is the American dream. And today when we go buy a car, go buy shoes, go and try on outfits virtually, we have all of these digital tools available to us. And as a home building industry, we really haven't kept up to pace with the way that we as consumers shop, right? So today's consumer demands it and they expect it. And the good news is it's also good for us as an industry. As builders, this kind of helps us, one, to not only help sell more options, because that's how we started the virtual design experience almost 15, 17 years ago, was builders came to us and said, how do we not leave money on the table, right? So Envision was created, was formed to help builders spend more dollars online, right? And then very quickly, here, I'm gonna see if this video plays here. All right, it's not, but that's okay. So very quickly, we realized as an industry, it was transformative, right? So not only does it help buyers spending more dollars on every option upgrade, but it's also about helping buyers become more immersed in our process, right? So as buyers explore our communities, our plans, our options, they get more immersed in all of the great options and the great offerings that we have available or made available to our home buyers. And these are just quotes that we've seen from builders across the country. Even before the new normal, it was crazy trying to get all of our builders virtually, digitally savvy. And now even more so, we're seeing directly from builders where they're saying, you know what, the fact that we had this, we were so forward thinking. Thank you for being partners with us. We were so forward thinking that this virtual design center played such a key role when we were sheltered in place, right? So if I can't go see all of my options, at least I can virtually experience that as best as possible, right? Ultimately, we know as buyers, we want to go and touch and feel, but in the cases where we can't do that, how do we bridge that gap, right? And this bottom quote is from Fulton Homes. They've been a key partner of ours for over 15, 17 years. And again, we've talked about the fact that Envision is a immersive emotional experience. So buyers are spending 4+ hours online. Here, Fulton's experience, they really maximize every stage of that digital journey, and they're finding their buyers are spending more than 4 hours. They're spending 20 hours here in this case, 36 hours, and they are spending money. So we know that time on site correlates to dollar spending. So it's really good to see this, this quote from Fulton Homes themselves. So our second tip I will kind of go into is, one is to keep them engaged throughout their journey, right? So what does that mean for us as home builders? One is, when we go try to buy a home, we know, unless we buy a spec home, right? We see it's right there on the lot. We know exactly what to expect. But a lot of times it is a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month building process, depending on where you live and the seasonality. If it's wintertime, may not be able to break ground as quickly, right? So it really is important about keeping that buyer engaged throughout that shopping process, right? So one of the biggest metrics our builders track is buyer backout or cancellation rates. So really critical that Envision plays a key role in that journey, right? So, so helping buyers stay engaged throughout that process. The other piece is, as we do our own research, BDX does so much research on an annual basis. And part of what we find is we get so hung up on that builder down the road that we lose sight as an industry. Our key competition is that resale, that used home down the road, right? Yeah. So options are our answer to help our consumers understand that why buying new is a better choice, right? And that design process, which is supposed to be a good thing, right, to help them really customize that home, can sometimes turn into an angst, into a negative, if we don't do it well. And that's why Envision or a virtual design center plays such a key role in that process. So that's the second piece, is to keep that buyer engaged while they're waiting for that new home to be built. And while you know, many of our markets are relo markets, right? So relocation, the buyer may not be able to come and see their home being built. And so it's really important to keep them engaged through that process. So many of our markets are 20, 30, 40% relo buyers. So plays a key role in that as well. Yep. So our third tip for our listeners here is to not only talk about it during the contracting and the design and the construction process. A few years ago, our builders came to us and said, you know what, we find that buyers that spend more dollars or spend more time, spend more dollars. I bet you will find if we have pre-sales folks that spend more time on the site, will convert to leads and sales faster. And so we pivoted with our builders very quickly several years ago, and builders have started using their virtual design studio or Envision in a pre-sales environment, right? And what that means is when somebody goes to your website, they start exploring your communities and your plans. Right there it says, start designing your home today, right? And so you can imagine, if I am already designing my home, I've already virtually in my head moved in, right?
Absolutely.
So we're seeing a great amount of conversion happening. So just some really quick stats, and we'll make these stats available to everybody here. But typical websites, buyers or pre-sales prospects, they'll spend 2 to 3 minutes on a builder site. With Envision, we're seeing 2 to 3 times that time on site, right? And that makes sense because when you have immersive content that really walks through a buyer what they are looking for when they want to design their home, they're going to spend more time, right? And that translates to more pages per session. A typical builder site will have about 2 to 3 pages per session. With a virtual design center, or in this case Envision, it's at 20 to 30 pages per session. So you can imagine if a prospect is spending more time, they're going to multiple places on your site, they are going to convert to a lead faster, and they're going to come back. Typical builder sites have a return visitor rate about 20 to 25%. With Envision, we're seeing 2 times that with 30 to 40% of return visitor rates. And then the holy grail here really is about converting those leads to sales. And on typical builder sites, we're seeing less than 5%. It's typically 2 to 3% convert to lead to sales. And with Envision, and this is, again, builders share this data with us. We have the ability to pull our own analytics, but we see this across our builders all the time through MI, KB, TriPoint, Fulton, right? That they're seeing 20 to 30% of those leads convert to sales. Again, let me repeat that, 20 to 30%. There is no better lead source than having somebody who's gone to your site, they have started designing their home, and now they're saying, I want more information. They've created that account. So lots of great numbers here for us to think about as an industry. Our fourth tip, and we forget this at times, is that content is so key. Many of our builders, we've done so many sitting down with the sales, at the sales office, at the design office, we'll see that when somebody says, all right, thank you, congratulations, you bought your home. Well, here's a 25-page spec sheet, good luck, right? Not very immersive, not very engaging. So really important that we have this content that makes it immersive and realistic for our clients, and legally we're covered. And that's a really key point that I want to make sure we talk about, is that with the use of AI now, with this new technologies that's out there everywhere, it's very easy for copyright trolls, and there's no other better way to say it than copyright trolls. They're out there. Yeah. And for every infraction where you go and download an image and use it without permission, it's $25,000. So if you're out there screen scraping content, you are legally exposing yourself to action by copyright trolls. And we've had builders come to us and say, oh my gosh, thank goodness you have contracts with these 300 plus manufacturer brands, because again, that covers you, it covers us as an industry, and the manufacturers are delighted, because think about it, from a manufacturer perspective, they get to tell their retail story to the buyers when they're sitting down and buying those options, right? Or buying their products. They get to share that retail story as well. So it's a win-win for both, but I want to caution us that we should not underestimate the importance of having that legal coverage. So part of, again, so beyond the dry legal stuff, that part of the immersive content is this brand recognition, right? As builders, we build the 4 walls, the roof, and the flooring, the foundation. Everything else that goes in that home is from our valued manufacturer partners. It's ingredient branding at its core, right? So many times as retail buyers, we go to Home Depot, we go to Lowe's, we go to other big box retailers, and we know these brands. We know Overhead Doors, we know Anderson Windows, we know Whirlpool, we know GE, we know Daltile, we know Mohawk, right? So we know these brands, and so it behooves us as a building industry to take advantage of those brands and talk about the fact that I, as a builder, work with Moen exclusively, or I work with Delta, right? I work with these manufacturer brands that you as a retailer already identify with. So very, very key on having that brand recognition. And then beyond just that, the ability to also extend that into other kinds of tours and Matterport tours, VR walkthroughs. you have the ability to do that, and to be able to then also have that same manufacturer extension. And I'm so sorry, Matt, the videos for some reason are not playing.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
We'll send you the deck so you can also
Yeah.
send it out to the audience. But you have the ability to kind of go into these homes and do the walkthrough and kind of take a look at all of the great content that you as a builder have partnered with.
So you're able to embed like your Matterport tours that you have within Envision itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can make that connection happen with Matterport tours, with visualizers, right? So just like with Carvana, you want to go and visualize that car, you can visualize your home and see, do I like my darker cabinets with a lighter flooring and darker countertops, right? So you can kind of visualize that. And the last thing I would leave our audience with is consider the range of options, right? So kind of what Chad said, it's about the journey and the behavior. So let's not wait for perfection. Let's not wait for that perfect end goal. Let's take advantage of this solution throughout the process, right? And so what that means for you as a builder is we have different ways for you to get started. So kind of like what you talked about, Matt, is you could have Matterport tours that you embed with Envision manufacturer content, right? That's a great way to start, especially in spec homes, model homes, right? You have those Matterport tours. Or if you have unbuilt products like your plans, right? So you can have a VR walkthrough that integrates with that Envision data, right? So there's plethora of offerings on how you as a builder want to get started. We recently, over the last few months, we pivoted again in this new normal to allow our builders to have this Envision Lite or Envision Express experience, which allows them to get up and running with a virtual design center in less than 30 days. Yeah. So you don't have to, again, wait for perfection. It really is about giving your buyers something that they have come to expect. And think about it. If you have something that is so digitally forward thinking, your buyer is going to think, oh my gosh, my builder has this tool and technology and application, this platform. They're going to do the same kind of care that they do with these technologies that they have available for me. They're going to take that same kind of care in building my home. Think about what a great experience that is, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And so with that, I would say my parting thought is perfection in this new normal. And we like to say new normal. It's going to be our normal for a while. It's
That's
not
right.
anymore, right?
Absolutely.
So it's going to be our normal for a while. And perfection is absolutely a liability. It should always be a goal, right? We want to get there, but let's not start there.
Don't let great get in the way of good enough sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with that, I would just, leave you again with that parting thought that we have multiple different options. There are so many best practices, so many tips, and you can start anywhere in that journey as a builder, all the way from pre-sale searching for a home, to preparing for that design appointment, to building my home, and then certainly for the life of that home. As a buyer, as a homeowner, I know I have young kids, and if somebody draws on my wall or scratches up my cabinets, wouldn't it be great if I had somewhere I can go and say, was that a Sherwin-Williams paint? What was that paint sample?
That's right.
Over what my kid just wrote, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Portal for life.
Apina, is info@thebdx.com the best way if someone wanted to reach out and chat a little bit further about how they may be able to learn more and get started?
Yes, absolutely, Matt.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and greatly appreciate you coming on, and greatly appreciate you being a part of Home Builder Tech this year.
Excellent. Good luck with the rest of your day, Matt.
Thanks, guys. All right. Jump into the next session. Links in the chat starting right now. Bye.